Welcome back to the Fit and Professional podcast, where we feature guests who embody what it means to be fit and professional. I'm honored to be sitting here with a dear friend of mine, my brother, Kalvin Simpson, the owner of Stealth Auto Rentals. He wears a lot of hats as well, but we'll dive into that, man. Welcome to the show. How you feeling?
Appreciate it, bro. I'm doing all right. How you making out?
Another day, straight from work.
I'm hyped to be here, man. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, I knew when, I was planning this year, I was thinking about guests that I wanted to have on. I talk about you all the time, like you asked Shane. But man, since we met, it's just been like we've been locked in. It's been 5 years too.
It's been 5 years
Since we met. Yep.
It's funny because every time I think about when we met, it was just off the rip. From the energy and everything, I already knew the type of energy that you were bringing because we had mutual friendships with Austin.
Yeah.
And how he gets down too, and just the type of man that he is. So for you to have asked me to come on here today, brother, like I'm really appreciating it, and I was looking forward to it. So thanks
Full
again.
circle moment for
Yeah,
sure.
it really
Appreciate
was.
you. Yeah, man. So I definitely, we have our talks and things like that, but I definitely know you have a lot of value to add to, the audience that we're trying to capture, people who are fit and professional, which is everyone, or everyone strives to be that, because it's a perfect duality for, striving for success and not just entrepreneurship, but whatever people want to do. I feel like having a healthy mind and body and spirit, fuels it seamlessly. So
Absolutely.
definitely want to dive in, like talk a little bit about your background.
Okay.
I know you have a sports background. We never really talked about that, like growing up. Like, did you always play sports, or like, how did that go about?
So I used to play basketball.
Okay.
You know that. I played basketball, well, in high school. I tried to start back in middle school, but I wasn't even making the team back then. And then that's when I played at Pencrest High School.
Okay.
From Pencrest, I was playing basketball, and then after Pencrest, that's when I actually went to Kutztown University, where Austin and I, who are a mutual friend, obviously him and I got tight. With basketball, I feel like I never necessarily treated it as the forefront.
Okay.
I was decent at basketball, but it was never necessarily a priority of mine, which is why I think up until you even know from your own experience, like in high school, everybody's the man until you get to the college. And then that's when you're around everybody else who's just as gifted, has just these same types of abilities.
Right.
And from there, I felt like even though my athleticism was carrying me to do well, it was only so much, and I wasn't necessarily putting the work towards basketball itself.
Right.
From there, I think that's when I started just staying a little bit more open that there's other things outside of basketball. And that's kind of what led to just being more considerate of what do I want to do professionally, what I want to do with work, and take it that way.
When did you know that basketball was like, all right, like I know I was good enough to get here, and even if you put effort in, you could do it. But when did you know, like, all right, it's time to start thinking about something else?
I mean, you name it. Like, these brothers was doing between the legs twice, you know what I mean? Windmill off the backboard. Like, don't get it twisted. I was athletic enough that I was above the rim.
I heard you used to get up. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to get up. Like, I was an above the rim type of player. But at the same time, like, looking back at it now, I wasn't that great of a shooter. Probably wasn't that great dribbling either. I mean, damn, as I was saying it out loud, I probably didn't sound like I was that great at all. But my point being was, like, these dudes were really getting down. And you saw the devotion that a lot of, especially these city kids, were putting towards the sport itself. And I enjoyed it. Don't get it twisted. Especially a lot of the brothers that I met on the team, still tight with all of them.
Okay.
And that's just kind of where I knew was like, I enjoyed this, but it didn't necessarily have to be like an all tells all.
Yeah.
So I took a step back.
It's crazy you say that, because I was the opposite. Like I could shoot, but I wasn't that athletic.
Man, you were a sniper. You're acting like you can shoot. Like you were more than that. Like you were D1, you know what I mean? And you were really with the highest level of competition. So,
but even at that level, it was just like I was at a low major school. When we would go play against like Oklahoma, and you really saw the levels.
There's levels to everything. There's levels to everything. And I think I always kept in mind, I was like, I'm not going to the league. So how much time do I really want to devote to it? And then at this same time, when you're in school, you try to stay mindful of your pockets.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, just between you and I personally, but like money was always important because it's a tool to just help not only yourself, but the people around you. So that's why I never necessarily kept basketball at the forefront, but it definitely helped in all areas of my life. I could attest 100%.
A lot of lessons learned for sure. And definitely, a lot of things I learned in basketball carried over into professional and the business world and things like that. So after, finding out, you're like, all right, basketball, that's it. What did you do after that? What was the transition like?
So I actually stopped playing basketball after my freshman year at Kutztown.
Okay.
A lot of people think that I played the full 4 years, and that wasn't the case. From there, it was more just focusing the mindset on, okay, well, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
So that's when you started to consider all these different internships, ways to make money. And at Kutztown University, a lot of people don't know it, but one of my first jobs was actually being a tutor.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a business statistics and a market research tutor
Okay.
in the library like 2 to 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that was helping me out on top of just doing other types of things just to kind of get some money on the side. And I feel like there's just so many different avenues that I've tried to try to figure out what is it that you want to do.
Yes.
And it's interesting because you can try all the things in your world, but you'll know when the actual moment comes where this is where I belong.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until after I left Kutztown University where I started to feel a little bit more comfortable about where this was kind of taking me.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I was tussling with that when I first graduated and was trying to figure it out. And as you know, I got Kai and things like that. So
See,
I had to figure it out.
You had a lot on your plate, man.
Yeah. And but I tried so many things like, of course I was working at the government, but I've tried so many different businesses because I was trying to find that purpose, something that gave me some type of fulfillment. And I would try things and it was like, at first you would be excited about it, but when I got into the weeds of it, I was like, I can't see myself doing this forever.
Right.
But have you ever had that feeling where you felt like you were trying too many different things and it was tugging you in different ways, or were you always like single tasking at that time?
Not necessarily trying too many things at once, but it only gets to a certain point where you try so many different opportunities where I think your surrounding circle starts to think that you lose credibility.
Okay.
So
that's a good one.
Towards my end of my senior year, that's when I was like trying insurance internships and like these different like finance internships because I was a business marketing major and business management, and it just wasn't necessarily for me. But at the same time, like it was definitely a great opportunity as we go to school to get this education so that hopefully you come out and do a job.
Right.
But yeah, just using connections. After a while, that's when I left. And then fortunately, I got a great job. It was at a portfolio management position over in Berwyn, PA, near King of Prussia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I worked and did in portfolio management there for 3 to 4 years. And that's what kind of, I think, looking back on it, and I always talk about like 9 to 5s, and I'm sure we'll touch on it later on in this episode, but like if you get the correct 9 to 5, man, it can completely change the trajectory of what you got and your plans and your goals and how you really think that, you know what I mean? Like this is going to set me up for success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you were in that position in 9 to 5, when you say that it could change the trajectory, do you mean like the lessons you learned or like if you were to stick with that? Expound upon that a little. We could jump into it already. Like,
I mean, the lessons I learned from the 9 to 5?
Like when you were saying that if someone finds the right, 9 to 5, it could change the trajectory. Did you mean like in regards to like having it or the lessons you learned in your personal experience?
I mean, even going off finding the right 9 to 5, it's not necessarily me personally. I don't necessarily think it's about the job itself.
Okay.
I think it's about the people that you work with. And I was in a fortunate position that when I was working at this firm called InvestNet over in Berwyn, PA, I was surrounded by a team of people that everybody lifted everyone else up. And by everybody lifting everybody else up constantly, it honestly gave me the confidence in other areas of my life to just put myself out there. I never speak down on my 9 to 5. I always tell everybody that, listen, a 9 to 5 can be a blessing.
Yeah.
And it really can. And on the other hand, though, a 9 to 5 can be just as detrimental. It's unfortunate when people obviously go to work and they can't stand their boss when their manager and it kind of pushes them out that way. But a lot of times, I don't think it's spoken on how not every entrepreneur or business owner hated what they did before. And so I just always want to keep that transparent that, you know what I mean? Something like the right 9 to 5 it was just a great tool looking back on it.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it is. Like even for me, having my 9 to 5 was a great catalyst and a great foundation for what I'm doing now. Like just learning how to navigate different relationships, different rooms. Like I remember being in different meetings with higher ups and like my manager was sick and I had to like step in.
Right.
So like being put on the spot and having to figure it out when I didn't know what I was talking about. Like working in a team, like you said, and facing adversity, you might not like who you're working for all the time. And in business, you might not like the client that you have. Or
it's just getting taken out of your comfort zone, man.
Taking out your comfort zone.
I mean, honestly, that's probably why I was looking forward to this episode as much as I am today because, bro, I have so much respect for you. You pull so many people out of their comfort zones to better the type of person that they are. And me personally, like, even though I don't necessarily get in front of cameras that more often and kind of keep it to like a private type of lifestyle. Just having this ability to come in here and reflect on the different businesses and the type of things that we went through as business owners. Like, again, man, I said it again. I'm grateful to be here today and talk to you about this. I really am.
Likewise. And we were talking about before we started, I didn't know if you were going to come on because I know you're that type of person. So it felt good that you were open to it for sure.
If there was anyone that was going to get me to speak on a couple of the experiences I had over the past 4 years with stealth auto rentals, it was you. Appreciate it, brother.
No, I appreciate you, man. And I'm going to go back to something you said about business owners, entrepreneurs not necessarily hating what they did before. Because there's this conception out there, there's this narrative that, oh yeah, if you're a 9 to 5, if you're working a 9 to 5, you're a slave, or you need to get out of that. Why would you work for a man, or why would you do that? And it's just like, yo, like, who says that everyone wants to be an entrepreneur? Because you and I both know the talks we've had, it's not what it looks like on Instagram or social media. You're actually going to work way more. And a lot of time you're going to sacrifice the things that a 9 to 5 can give you, like having your weekends off, being able to enjoy your spouse, your kids.
Preach.
There's so many days that I literally, like, sometimes I'm in the car a lot with real estate. I'm just reflecting, just like, dang, like you have like, kind of like, it's not survivor's remorse. I don't know the word to use at this moment, but you get that feeling just like, dang, am I neglecting people? But certain phases that you have to go through, people don't know about.
It's funny. I don't know if it's like a joke or the saying, but you know how they say like, oh yeah, I left my 9 to 5. Now I work 24/7. And that's just how it is. Like, you're not going to necessarily have the ability to just cut down and think it's all going to be sweet and games, while there's just so many more responsibilities and hats that you're going to be going forth. And obviously with Instagram, TikTok, a lot of this different social media, I feel like they don't touch on that.
Yeah.
And the inability for a lot of these different influencers to be transparent is why I kind of just take a step back and not really partake in it. But for someone like you, in your platform, the community you're building, and how you're doing it with FP, this is as transparent as it gets.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I was so excited to be here. I knew that you were going to touch on things just to be on an honest perspective and let people know, like, oh, listen, if you're really willing to balance the type of industry or professionalism that you want to do with also prioritizing your health, these are the type of things that you're going to encounter. Yeah. So I already knew that you were going to touch on it, brother.
Yeah, because that's why I want people from all different walks of life, all different aspects, whether it's a 9 to 5 person, a person that runs a business like yourself. Because in what I said about the entrepreneurship, I'm not trying to deter anyone from doing it,
right?
But just know that it's not as what it seems. You know what I mean? Because I remember the text when. So the summer before I left my job, you left yours. And I remember you posted "out of office forever." You posted it in your caption. And I remember like fast forward a year later, I sent you the message I sent to my supervisor, putting my 2 weeks in, and you text me back like, you'll work more than you ever did.
It was saying you're going to work even more now. But also I remember specifically, like, I made sure to congratulate you, because a lot of times, like, when people leave their jobs and you feel the skepticism from everybody around you because they may not necessarily be as confident within themselves to make that jump, you're going to hear it and you're going to feel it. And it's the pressure with your family. Obviously, you have more pressure with, like, your children and relationships, and how important it is for you to have that sense of stability. So for you to have done that, I said, listen, congratulations, because I already know that the type of man that you are, you're going to succeed in the avenue no matter whichever direction it is.
Right.
So
yeah,
I was proud of you, Brian. I remember when you left your job, I was like, okay, yeah, he's up to start getting busy now. He's going to start getting busy now.
But like you said, that this platform is great for the transparency part of it, because
absolutely.
I show everything on social media.
I know,
ups, the downs, and then here I always talk about with the guests too, and we'll get into it probably later on, like just like turn back moments. Like I've had many of those, like where
for sure
I almost went back to my job because it was just like,
what?
Like, yo, like I want some stability. And
you know how many days I've wanted to just go back to a 9 to 5, just to be able to go into the 9 to 5, clock in
and clock out,
work in what you work on, like whatever the tasks are that you're doing at the actual job, right. And then at 5 p.m. it's done.
It's done.
But being a business owner, you don't have that luxury, because either your phone's ringing, it's clients, it's renters, it's whoever it's going to be. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not within that 9 to 5 parameter. Unfortunately, as time went by, me personally, I feel like I was able to improve on that and kind of set some boundaries within myself and the business to know that, okay, listen, if this is going to be what it is for the longevity, it's going to take boundaries. It's going to take me setting my own rules and laws so that I have the stamina to actually
to keep
build
going.
this up and keep it going. Yeah, no, you hit that.
It's a marathon. That's what, like, the fitness aspect, because it's business really is like, I remember a guy in the office, he said, no, this ain't a marathon. It's a full-time sprint. Like, and he's right. It's more so a marathon, I would say, because at first I wasn't able to draw the line in the sand to say I'm not working on Sundays.
Right.
Because weekends were my only availability because I was working the job at the same time.
You got to build it up.
You got to build it up. And now I can actually take a Sunday off if I want to. I can work if I want to, but I have an automated message on my voicemail.
I know. I be getting hit with it when I try to hit your phone. I know the automated message.
My mom be like, "Why are you sending me that?" I'm like, "It's not on purpose. It's an auto."
That's why I FaceTime you. I'm like, "Yo, pick up."
Yeah, man. But man, it's dope. But we'll dive into the business aspect a little bit. So, Stealth Auto Rentals. How did that come about? When did the idea start? And tell me a little bit about the origin.
It's funny. So, out of school, when I was working at that portfolio management position, I sat next to one of my coworkers at the time, and I felt like this brother had it going on. And he was always talking about just higher types of living that I wasn't necessarily familiar with at the time. It was, how do I say it? Like, it was just the small things, like how him and his family were exercising. It could be anything, like credit card points when they were going on vacations, the type of car that he drove. I was still pulling up in the Hyundai Elantra with the stick shift. You know what I mean? Like I was, I dropping it out, going out the parking lot, and he had an Audi A3.
Mm-hmm.
So one day he actually went and he turned that Audi A3 at the Audi Wynwood, which is one of the main locations where I actually acquire most of the vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I went the following day after he traded in. I said, I know this comes from a great owner. I want to buy it.
Okay.
At the time I actually got the vehicle. It was one of the best purchases I have. Still have it. Pulled up in it today. I was at the gym, not even, I want to say 2 months later, and my car got hit.
Mm.
And the rental they gave me was an actual Audi Q5. If you're familiar with the vehicles themselves, it's a compact SUV that allows for a little bit more legroom.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. And I was like, things are going well. I had a couple streams of income at the time. I said, all right, like my father always kept 2 vehicles. Ain't nothing wrong with having options. So I went and had the Audi A3, and I went and got the Q3 shortly after, which was a little bit smaller than the Q5.
Okay.
And I want to say not even a month after that, I had a friend approach me saying, like, look, Cal, like, I'm going to New York this weekend. I'm kind of in a bind. I know that you have your own car and you got the Q3. He's like, can I just toss you $100 and just take it for the weekend?
It just happened organically.
And just like that, out of nowhere, it kind of created an opportunity. I was like, I've never actually considered being in the automotive industry. And it's funny because my father was a truck driver, and on the side, he was a mechanic.
Wow.
And I've never been to any of the trade. I've never been to any of like the Votech schools, but I was always under the hood with him. And out of nowhere, this just fell into my lap.
Mm.
And from there, that's kind of where I was like, okay, listen, I'm going to start with one car. I'm going to learn this car. I'm going to learn the insides and outs of this vehicle. I want to know everything from like the actual transmission to the engine, to the interior, to the electronics, all the different control modules, and just take my time to know this one vehicle inside and out. Mm-hmm. And we got so familiar with the Audi Q3, as you know now, like there's a couple more than just one.
Yeah.
And that's what honestly was kind of like one of the stepping stones and foundations of self auto rentals.
Yeah.
Because it was just the ability to focus on one vehicle that we knew would stay on the road. And it kind of allowed for it to just build up, and the business started taking on.
It's crazy how things come full circle. Like you said, you never thought you would have been in that industry, but things you were doing when you were a little kid were already preparing and shaping you for what you were destined.
And you don't see it. And sometimes like an opportunity comes across, and whether that's with a business, whether that's with relationships.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you aren't looking for it, that's when it's right there dead in your face. Mm-hmm. And listen, I've never felt so belonging to an industry, just because now thinking back on it, how many different times I was, you know what I mean? Like learning towards it, but not even knowing that it was going to come in handy years later. And
that's hindsight. Like we never know why you're going through something, but it's preparing you. Even when it comes to the lessons you probably learned in the corporate world, when it came to running the business. And I was going to touch on that. Like what are some of the biggest challenges you would say starting the business? I know you started with one car, but when it came to scaling, tell me what would you say is the biggest challenge that stuck out for you when it came to making it an actual business?
One of the biggest challenges when making it an actual business, I want to say, was the legitimacy. It had to be legitimate.
Okay.
This wasn't a hobby. I didn't want to treat it as a hobby.
Yeah.
At the time, this is also when I started to meet my woman.
Okay.
And I mean, people don't know it, but like a lot of what Stealth Auto Rentals was coming from her. I mean, you know, her nickname is Shrimp. I talk about Shrimp all the time, but she's intelligent. She has a perspective. She's an attorney, and it was really all the different things that I was learning from her helping me with. I mean, looking back on it now, you get me all emotional. But like, there was nights where, you know what I mean? Her and I were just kicking it on the couch.
Yeah.
And she was helping me with the rental agreements. She was helping me with terms and conditions. Telling me how like you gotta do this. Like you gotta start like documenting things so that as time goes by, you have it written on paper. And it's funny because I didn't necessarily think of that, but at the same time, when I was at InvestNet, that's really what my job entailed, was recording a lot of the different things that we were going through at that firm. So at the time, I wasn't really fond of doing it because I mean, like, who really likes documentation and paperwork? But a challenge was knowing like, hey, listen, all this needs to be recorded.
Right.
It has to have something to be able to reflect on, share it to the next person. Because else, how are you going to be able to? You can't just pick up the phone and explain it. You actually have to have something where people can like revert to and see, okay, this is what I should do when helping you grow your own business.
Yeah. No, that having the right team is everything when it comes to like, especially when you're picking the right woman. Like, shout out to Shrimp, shout out to Justice. Like, it really, even when it comes to FP, like when Justice came and started helping me on the back end, like even with content and just ideas, she helps with the director when we're doing like photo shoots. She's directing the models. Like, just having the right. I think having the right woman is very important, and also having the right team. Yeah.
Women's perspective is going to put the, you know what I mean? It's going to put the cherry on tight.
Yeah.
It's going to put the cherry right on top. Like the right, I mean, you said it, the right touch.
Yeah. And you talk about the credibility that Shrimp helped you with when it comes to that. What would you say were the key things to help you with that credibility? Like for me, right? Just to give a small anecdote, like when I started like entrepreneurship journey, like I was doing fitness training first.
I remember, man, I was watching that. I was watching the videos. Come on, I'm in the edge watching your video, and they're like, "Yo, you all right over there?" I'm dying. I was like, come on now. Yeah,
so I was doing that and real estate at the same time, and I remember when I really had to scale back and find a way to make it all merge is when a client I lost a listing and a buy, so basically 2 deals in one because the client said, "Oh, I thought you were only doing fitness. I didn't know you were still doing real estate anymore," because I was posting so much on fitness, and then I would throw in real estate every here and there. And when you said that earlier, it just triggered me because it was like, yo, I have to make sure I look credible to the audience.
Absolutely.
So I had to take a step back from fitness for like a few years.
Absolutely.
Until I established myself as like, people know I'm that realtor that I go to. Now I can bring in FP and it makes sense. That's my brand.
Absolutely.
But when it came to Stealth, did you have any challenges when it came to making it legit, or what were the biggest things you think helped you make it more credible when it came to making it a legit business? Sorry, that's probably all over the place.
No. I think people still doubt the power of word of mouth. Word of mouth, if you give somebody a quality service and they actually feel like they're getting the value out of paying for your service or the product that you're selling, and they pass that on to the next person, me personally, I think that trumps your Google, any type of recommendation online, people just sending it through ads or whatever it is. Hearing it from one person's mouth to the other and saying like, listen, I had a great rental. The vehicle was maintained. It was reliable. It was clean. It was spotless. Call it what you want. But I think word of mouth, and even till this day, I think word of mouth was one of the most important parts just to build that credibility and legitimacy within the business.
Yeah.
And even now, I just always value when somebody says, oh, I was telling so-and-so. Right. Listen, that's more than enough. Yeah. I'm always appreciative of it. I really am.
Because that's like it's like a web. Like one person says it, then another person says it, and everyone wants to know that. Everyone wants to feel like I have that guy. I have a guy. I have a guy for this. In real estate, I have it. I feel good. People call me like, who's your go-to for this? Who's your go-to for that?
Right.
And in real estate, right, there's a lot of different ways you can generate business. You can cold call. That's one of the pillars of our business. We cold call, but my favorite part of the business now that I'm years in is my sphere of influence.
Right.
The word of mouth. Like nothing trumps it. As long as I'm doing the right thing of like nurturing those relationships that I already built, people that already know and like me.
Man, I've been on your sites. The referrals that you be getting and how they be speaking on you. I'm like, I know this dude he's just taking it there. That's what you do.
But you actually helped me when it came to the Google reviews, because I remember when you sent me when I filled out the Google review as well.
Right.
It just like like, I need to do this. I saw what people were saying about you. I was like, why am I not doing this? So when I started doing that, now my Google reviews for real estate, that helps, because I had a client literally say, oh yeah, I was Googling realtors and I love what people were saying about you. So that word of mouth is pivotal.
I mean, the word of mouth, but also just having the receipts. Have the receipts. You could say you did this and that on social media and this and that and the third. Where are the receipts?
Yeah.
Where are all the people saying that they really enjoyed your experience that you provided and they felt like they left it knowing that they've received value?
That's a fact.
Because that's hard work and money that a lot of people, man, I remember when like one of my first renters, I was just ecstatic because I'm like, this is somebody's money that they put in their hourly job or whatever their salary. Like, it's just, I know how much I appreciate my own income and money and how I want to spend it, honestly, specifically for what I want to.
Right.
And what's best for the people, you know what I mean, around me, and however disperse it, call it what you want. But for somebody to actually take a jump and commit to spending their hard-earned money on your business, I think it's kind of undermined just because it takes a lot of trust, especially with these internet sites and so much scamming going on now. And
it's so much.
You know how many times I pick up the phone and it's just like, your UPS, you know what I mean?
Or you get a link talking about, yeah, your package got delayed. Like they're not texting
your
me.
Easy Pass. I'm like, come on, boy.
It's getting worse and worse by the day.
It is. And I try to like constantly tell my parents, like, don't open the link. Don't open the link.
My grandmom's a corporate of that. She gets, I feel like she has like 30 Facebooks because
you just don't know.
And yeah, it's sad because that's the generation, they don't know any better. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But speaking of that, like when it comes to integrity, right? You know, in business, you know that everyone's not credible and things like that. And that's one thing I realized when I look at your blogs. I still read them when you send them out. Like, no, seriously, like you put out some really good tips. Like not even just when it comes to cars, you put out some good business tips. So I when I see them come through, I'm opening them.
That's what's up.
So just know they're working. Your email marketing. So keep that going. When it comes to your integrity and what drives you to continue like wanting to, you know, provide top level service? Like, is that just you, or like is there any instances like with any customers you had that just keeps you going?
Every business owner reaches a certain point where they realize there's different types of clientele. And with the rental car business, it's no different than some of these other businesses that are offering, let's just say, like you have your bottom tier, your middle tier, and your higher tier. Just because it's a more affordable product or service doesn't necessarily mean that it's worth buying, or as a business owner, it's worth really offering because of the clientele that comes with it. And from the rip, I already knew that in mind from just a couple other business ventures that I've had in the past, which is why specifically when starting out, I was focusing on Audi because it's just like a higher class of vehicle.
Right.
I wanted it to bring in kind of like a higher class of clientele. Don't get it twisted. I still get, in the full realm. But my point being is, do you want to put more work towards customer service for some of the like lower clientele, or do you really want to provide more of like your up tier type of service where it's almost like sometimes they're easier customers to deal with? It's like similar to sometimes you ever see online where they say you send a $10 invoice and the person asks 10 questions versus if you send a $1,000 invoice, there's no questions asked and it's paid.
Yeah, that's a real thing. I was talking to Prince, agent that I work with on my team, and we were talking about that. Like, we work with clients of all different ranges, whether it's $100,000 house to hopefully $1 million. I haven't got all the way to multi-millions yet, but when it comes to that same concept you said, is very true. It's not like a one size fits all, but a lot of time the client that starts out with those, we call it red flags. Like when it comes to it, sometimes at that lower price tier, or maybe they're not the most serious person. They were hesitant on signing something. That's the person that's going to give you more hassle for less of a commission. And it's like you said, it's not just about money, service, but
I don't want to.
That's a real thing, though.
My father and I always joke around because I say, by the third question, you know if they're buying or not. By the third question, you know if they're buying or not.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is.
Right.
And I remember you gave me some tips like that when it came to when I was starting FP on the merch side, like prices. We talked about that.
Prices, raise them.
It's not exactly. It's not just about offering. And I had to look back at that. And even just when I started, I was just like trying to jump in the water without being as strategic.
And also you want to build, I mean, you want to build a community. Like
Exactly.
you want to get your feet on the ground. I completely understand it. And as you build that community and you start to raise prices or whatever it is that you're selling or providing, you just want to make sure that you're also showing up.
Yeah.
I know if I'm raising prices, I'm making sure that they actually have
It's quality.
You get where I'm going with that? I don't want to shortchange anybody. I want them to feel that when they paid for the service, they're going to get the quality that actually provides what they feel like they are receiving.
Yeah. No, definitely from what I see and when we talk about, you're definitely providing that for sure. And it's a testament of where you at and where you're going. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I know we could talk all day on stuff and things like that. What would you say is your long-term goal with stuff? Do you plan on making, like, expanding outside of the area, or what's your long-term goal with it?
I take one thing at a time.
Okay.
Right now, one of the things that I've been working on specifically with the business is when deciding which direction I want to take it, what does it physically want to look like? And I started Stealth Auto Rentals because Stealth Auto Rentals doesn't have a location. It's a 100% remote car rental business. And the trajectory of it was basically so that it offered different options for the greater Philadelphia area to be able to pick up these vehicles along the different regional rail SEPTA lines.
Yeah.
Okay. And from offering that, I said, listen, especially now thinking back on it, like we're at the third year. There hasn't been a facility or actual physical location this entire time. Maybe that's that's actually like the avenue that I need to take. So when I actually envision it now, man, I actually picture Stealth Auto Rentals having different like technicians, obviously to set up these vehicles on a remote base still. I don't actually see it having a location. I don't want it to have a location.
Okay.
I want it to actually have that type of creativity because I speak on it all the time. There's so many creative ways to make money. Just because it's something that was like done in the past. And I tell myself a business doesn't have to be creative to the point where it's something like brand new. This isn't the first car rental business.
Yeah.
It's just a car rental business that provides value. It's doing it a little different way, obviously, because it's 100% remote. But yeah, I mean, whether it's a Philadelphia remote location, I would love to be down towards DC with a remote location because I feel like that type of area.
That's another good like metro.
That type of area, you know what I mean? Like obviously, I'm not going to New York or anything like that. Like that's just a lot of different challenges that I would have to come with. But no, right here in the greater Philadelphia area, I'm excited for how the vehicles have taken their turn and how people are speaking about it and how they're kind of coming back and just the growth over these past couple of years.
Yeah, I love what you said about the creativity piece that came out because I feel like there's a bunch of different car rental businesses out there, Toro, and everyone's putting content out about, start your rental car business and things like that, right?
Man,
you know what I mean? And
there we go.
A book I would recommend to people is The Blue Ocean Strategy. How are you going to, separate yourself in the industry where there's thousands of people doing it, like 1,000 realtors, 1,000 people doing rental car business. But for Stealth, I don't see anything else like that from my experience.
For sure.
So kudos to you on the creativity end.
Yeah, cool.
And it's just the beginning. Like you said, you're only 3 years in. So definitely, I know it's hard sometimes to give ourselves pats on the back and be present, like you said. But bro, keep going, man.
I appreciate it, brother.
Before we transition into we're going to talk about some fitness, talking about running. But when it comes to that, a lot of people want to jump into entrepreneurship. A lot of people want to maybe start a Toro or a rental car business. What's one piece of advice you would give people that you would tell yourself before starting it? Like a lesson before start.
You know my answer. The biggest, or I mean, I guess you're asking like the best advice.
Yeah, like for someone thinking about getting into what you're doing or some facet of it, what's the best advice you would give them?
Stay at your job. No, I'm serious because staying at your job is so important because a lot of people don't realize all the requirements needed when you're going on your own venture. See, only a couple things can happen when starting your business. You either have the cash on hand so that you just can kind of bootstrap it and propel yourself forward to start your own business. You either come from privilege and you have family and relatives that can kind of help you and I guess
that safety net.
Have that safety net to put you where you need to go. And then there's people like you and I who don't have that privilege. And that's when you actually be a personal guarantor on everything that you're signing, knowing that, hey, listen, Sabri Thompson or Kalvin Simpson is going to be the name on this loan to help them do what they have to do. And I think that people jump away from their 9-to-5 way too quickly and that you don't have any type of proof of employment to get those type of sourcing of funding because everything takes money. if there isn't some sort of money that has to be put up for you to start your venture, it's most likely going to be more challenging than if there were, because the lower barrier to entry is obviously everyone else just doing it.
Yeah.
You have to have some sort of, I guess, like barrier to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know with your business and everything that you're doing, like, it's not cheap. When you're doing all these different drops with the merch and everything along with it, and you're doing these different podcasts, everything comes with a cost.
A cost. Yeah.
And you're willing to put the work, obviously the money that you bring in from your own businesses, to keep putting it back in the business. And that's why it's grown to actually be the community that you've built, because of how much you put towards it. But some of these other times, I feel like people listen, like, stay at your 9 to 5 and only leave your 9 to 5 when it's at the point where you physically cannot be there anymore.
Exactly.
You physically have to leave. I mean, me personally, I remember, it's wild looking back on it, but there was times where I was like delivering rentals with the laptop on the, you know what I mean, the passenger seat, or I was at 30th Street Station waiting for a rental to return, and just doing all these different type of things, which kind of sound outlandish, but I wanted to get to the point where, listen, if it's about to be me leaving this 9 to 5, which is a great opportunity, it's a great team, it's stable income, I need to be sure that I'm able to get any type of funding or whatever it is so that I can stay on my feet.
Yeah.
And, yeah, listen, when people ask that, I always tell them, listen, stay at your job, because
I really appreciate that, because that's when you hear the opposite, leave your job, without a real plan and a real, just people being real about what it actually is like. And I tell people all the time, people ask me, or from talking to one of my teammates, when is it the right time to leave my job? I'm like, hey, I can't answer that for you, because, you know, everyone's journey is different.
Right.
Like Prince left his job way faster than I left my job. But me, I wasn't leaving until I felt comfortable. And I will remember being on a way to showing, you know, on a Zoom meeting, or putting it on mute to show a house real quick. And it got to the point where it was interfering, and I had to make that jump. And COVID kind of was a big catalyst as well, because they were trying to bring us back. And I was like, nah, it's time.
Bro, I was so proud of you when you left your job, because you had more responsibility, like 110-fold than what I had personally. You have a child, you have a family. And when you stepped away, I was like, listen, it was easier for me to leave my job because I didn't have anybody to really risk it for. It was just me and myself. So for you to have done what you did and left your job, and knowing that you have responsibilities and actual mouths to feed, listen, that's why I was so hyped when you entered that jump, because I'm like, listen, this isn't something to take lightly. This is something to be proud of, and it's something you're doing with grace. Yeah. I mean, look at us now. Like,
it's a journey.
Proud of you, brother.
You know, embrace the journey. That's the motto, because it really is that. And it's two things, right? Because everyone has their why.
Right.
A big part of me trying to leave was my son, because I wanted to have, first, doing side jobs, I wanted more money to travel and see him.
Right.
And then I also wanted the flexibility to build something where it's like, I can get it and I can just leave. And I remember last year was the first year I was able to go down there for like a week and not be stressed. Like, I got to hurry up and get back to business. And I was like, I remember I dreamed about this day.
And that just comes with time.
It comes with time.
It just comes with time.
And that's a lesson I want people to know, that no matter what industry, whether it's auto rentals, whether it's real estate, whether it's fitness, you have to put the time in.
Right.
A lot of the people that the gurus on social media, they've been doing this for 20 years. We're seeing the glory of it afterwards. There's some people that catapult faster than others, but everything, it just takes time. And you have to have patience with anything, and just embrace the journey, because there's going to be ups and downs and storms that you face. That's just life, because life without friction is not even a life worth living. You know what I mean? You're not going to grow if you don't have friction.
It's at your own pace. Own pace.
Own pace. Shout out to Own Pace. Olin.
Shout out, Olin.
That was a great segue, too, because we about to start talking about running. So, man, I talk to people all the time. Like, people ask me, because people look at what I'm doing, like, yeah, how you run that fast? I'm like, you think I run fast? I said, my boy Kalvin be up in Philly doing that. I talk about you all the time. But, man, when did running start for you? Like, how did you get into running?
It was the pandemic.
Pandemic?
It was the pandemic.
Same.
Even after basketball and just being younger, I felt like I always obviously prioritized my health. I would stay in the gym. Whether it was, I tried everything, man, like calisthenics, running, basketball, weightlifting. At one point, people, believe it or not, like, I was like 30 pounds more than this. I'm skin and bones now, but you know what I mean? But the pandemic, just because we had to make do with what was happening at the time, and it forced a lot of people just to go outdoors, since you couldn't necessarily...
You had to figure it out.
Right. I mean, well, once the actual pandemic passed. But yeah, ever since then, man, just one foot in front of the other. Before you know it, you run like 1 mile, you run 2, and then it goes on from there.
Yeah.
Kind of how it stacks up.
So you talked about trying different things, calisthenics, strength training, and things of that nature, and having a basketball background. What about running stuck out to you that's something that you wanted to stick to and be consistent with and continue to get better at?
So it wasn't shortly till after the pandemic when I left my job. It was the running, but it was the running portion itself paired with the discipline that I needed to actually keep going with stealth. And getting up every single, I'm a morning runner. You see, like me and you both are just usually early mornings because it's just once you actually have the ability to go out, exercise uninterrupted.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as, you're not trying to get interrupted later in the day with whether it is your clientele, whether it's home buyers, renters, whoever it is. And as time went by, I noticed how important it was to me. I never really thought running would become as important as it's become. But you put the miles in, you see your body start to react better. You start to lose certain habits that you shouldn't have had in the past. You held yourself a little bit more accountable. And then I saw that translation go into the business itself.
Yeah.
And that's why, listen, first thing in the morning, I'm on my feet and just taking it from there.
Yeah. That's a perfect correlation and a perfect duality, because I tell people all the time, like, people are like, why do you like running? I never thought I would be running and things like that. But literally it's my only quiet time, or working out in the morning. So I do like strength and
don't get it twisted. You never enjoy running when you start.
Yeah, but it's like, and even
you never enjoy
even in the morning getting up to do it. It's like, it's still not like, oh, let's go. For me, at least.
What?
I know everybody's different.
What?
But once you start, like once you actually get to like a couple miles in, it's like, oh, I'm cruising. I'm an autopilot.
I mean, especially as we're getting older, I'm waking up, my ankles is cracking, my back's about to break. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot more than when it was 22, 23 years old, where you could just hop out and go dunk or sprint a mile. Like, nah, if I do that now, man, I'll probably pull something.
What I remember, like, if practice at basketball is like, oh yeah, you dunking in the layup lines and stuff like that. Like, I remember last time I was hooping, I just got some shots up. I was just like, should I try and dunk? Nah, I know it might take me 2 or 3 days to shake back. I'm thinking
2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 months. You guys getting there. You guys start hitting the weights again. You guys, all the type of things that you neglect when you're younger. Again,
it's up to you.
It goes back to where a lot of times we rely on the ability that we have, and it only takes you so far.
It only does.
It only takes you so far. There's so many other things that you have to keep on working on diligently so that you can stay in the type of, whatever type it is, physical ability that you want to be in. But man, I get it. Trust me.
That old saying, like, hard work beats talent. Like, when you're younger, you don't really see it, but now at this age, you can't really rely just on talent anymore. It's about, like you said, those disciplines. Like, or am I going to go out drinking on a Saturday night if I got a long run on Sunday? I still might be able to get through it, but I might not be as efficient. I might not feel as good during it. That recovery might not be the same.
I'm pretty sure running is the reason why I hardly drink now. Like, it's just,
people understand. I got stuff to do.
I mean, you got to think, you got responsibility, and drinking back then versus drinking when you're approaching 30 and after 30, like, I don't have 2 to 3 days. It does not hit the same.
It does not. Like, being hungover and then now you're giving yourself an excuse, and then even carries over for me. Like, I carry weight, right? So if I'm eating bad, like, that's why I'm always dialed in on my nutrition, because if I'm eating bad, it's going to show.
You're dialed in.
My face get puffy. Like I guess it runs in my family. Like, we gain weight, and I know I have to be dialed in. People are like, you good? I'm just like, no, like, I know if I'm not eating right, it's going to show. And even just like maybe like a year and a half ago, like, I remember in 2022, I was in the best shape of my life. And the last time we linked, actually, like, I was not in the best shape. When you had cooked the wings that time on the balcony. Yeah, like, people might think, oh yeah, you're fine, but like, I wasn't. And it wasn't just physical, it was mental, because I fell out of my routines. I was drinking, I was, doing bad things. I wasn't locked in. Like, what I was watching wasn't the best. I was doom scrolling. They were just like, yo, it's crazy how far you can go off after being up. Because it's not just about getting there. It's about maintaining once you get there. And I feel like that's tough in itself.
And even all those things that you just mentioned, I want you to know that's allowed.
It's allowed.
You're allowed to go off course. You're allowed to not be as diligent one week as you are the next. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're human just like everybody else. So everything that you say, like, give yourself some grace, because
It's hard.
I
I tell
know,
myself
I
all the
know,
time, like
I
I have to
know.
give myself more grace because I'm my biggest critic, and it's tough when you know how it is. You're going to beat yourself up more than anyone else. Like me on the outside in, I'm praising everything you're doing, but in your head, you're probably like, hell, you don't got no idea, bro. Like, I might have struggled to do this. What you did, 23 miles last time I seen you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you be drawing, bro.
Honestly, I just be so upset sometimes because when you just got so many responsibilities, you know, I'm gonna keep running and I'm gonna keep running, and before you look down at it, you're like,
Dang.
yeah, it's been an hour and a half.
But that's big though, man. I appreciate you saying that about
give
like
yourself some
giving
grace,
yourself
man.
some grace because that's a perfect correlation on why the fit and professional brand is so key.
Right.
And I feel like everyone can fit into it, whatever it is, whether it's walking, running, doing yoga, whatever it is, because you are going to have turn back moments. You are going to fall off in real life and with fitness. So I feel like me falling off with fitness showed me that I didn't want to fall off again.
Right.
And striving and pushing myself to get back to where I am today and still trying to get better. Now the same thing with business. Because when I'm locked in that way, now it's easy to, all right, boom, if I'm tracking my meals every day, like literally tracking what I'm eating.
I saw that.
And then tracking, how many miles I ran. I got my fitness watch on. Now let me track how many calls I made today. How many conversations did I have today? Now I have non-negotiables set for myself. And when I fall off, like of course I'm not 100%, but you have that wherewithal when you're closing out your day to just be like, hey, you ain't have the best day. I've been journaling recently.
Okay.
And like yesterday I wrote down like, get your shit together.
Right.
Because I didn't have the best last couple of days. You know what I mean?
That's why I applaud you so much, because that's the exact reason why environment and the people you surround yourself with is so important, because it prevents the ability from those things happening and kind of keeping you off track. And it's just the accountability aspect of it. I mean, for instance, like you're on it too. Like I love Strava. You wake up every single morning and it's just people getting
I'm like, dang,
at it.
I just got up and they ran and I get up early.
You get what I'm saying? And it's just it's having that type of environment where you're looking at it, whether it be, because it's still a social media app.
It is,
but
it's a positive one.
That's my point. And you hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to running, do you have any specific goals that you have for yourself? I see you run, a lot of like long distance and you're getting back from your injury and things like that. Do you have a specific goal in mind? Like a marathon? What you got coming up?
So I actually have the Philadelphia half marathon on my birthday this year. Yeah, it's on March 30th. So I'll be running on that one. That's actually my first
30th on the 30th.
30th on the 30th. That's my golden birthday, man. That's
dope.
Yeah, my girl keeps going crazy about it. I'm like, listen, it's just another day. But so the Philly half marathon on the 30th. I didn't get into the Broad Street run in May because it's a lottery ticket, and obviously running's so booming right now that there's just so many.
Everything is selling out.
Rightfully so. I mean, people like kind of
that.
I love it too, because people are tending more to a healthy lifestyle, and things like club culture and all that are just dying. It's really going down. Like it's not as popping as it once was.
That's why run clubs went so crazy. Like it literally became like
a dating scene. Exactly. So I'm actually looking forward to that because one of her friends had two actual tickets to do the Broad Street run, and she's been running a lot more out of nowhere. I don't know what brought it, but she's been getting her miles in now in the morning as well. So even though I would be looking forward to the Broad Street run as a personal race, if she's willing to do that, it's just me and her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would really look forward to like sharing that type of similar interest, because she always pulls me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and try different things as well. I mean, you saw it. Like just last month, I was snowboarding up New York. Like, what am I doing on a snowboard? You know what I mean? I'm too tall to be on a snowboard. But those are the type of things that she has me trying. And like she's going down Black Diamond skiing. I didn't even know. You know what I mean?
She was like that.
So, but those are two things I'm looking forward to. And obviously the third would be the Philadelphia Marathon.
Running it back?
Yeah. So I haven't ran the last year, because that's when I actually had my Achilles injury. And at one point, I mean, I just enjoy it as it is now, but at one point I genuinely felt like, you can speak as much as you want about your goals, but I genuinely thought I was like a 2:45 marathoner. And I went down with the injury. It set me back a couple months. The goal was the goal, but I mean, just to have the ability to go into that and you just learn so much from your past races, your past mistakes, and it's everything, honestly, more than running itself. It's your diet, It's your sleep schedule. It's the mobility and stretching and how you want to treat your recovery. There's so many different things that actually hold you accountable outside the running aspect of it, which is what separates people from their goals. On one of your actual recent episodes with Brittany, she mentioned shout out to Brittany. I saw that episode. I love that episode. But she mentioned how a lot of these different track athletes were great. And then they got to a college where they're in an environment where kind of it holds them accountable. And it was a separation
factor
between the people who were actually out there acting crazy and you know what I mean? And how that affected their performance.
Right.
So I love that point that she made because it's just so true. It's everything outside of sometimes the sport where you see the separation.
Yeah.
I mean, look, obviously extreme aspect, but like people like LeBron James and stuff, just dial in on specifically
the nutrition. He spends millions of dollars on his body, and he's 40 years old, and his stat line is better than when he was. I forgot the exact age, but
he's going
when he was in Miami. Shout out to LeBron. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
But my point being is, like, you're 40 years old. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be going down the lane left-handed windmilling on 21-year-olds. But that's just a testament to if you take care of your body, you take care of your nutrition, you dial in on the things outside of basketball or whatever sport it is that's keeping you fit and professional in your field, it's going to allow you to excel more than some of the other people in this industry.
That's a fact. And it can be just doing all those things just to separate you by a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You know what I mean? And that's with every aspect of life. Real estate, am I going to make these extra calls while someone's not? If I'm not calling these people, somebody else might. And can't assume a tip of real estate, you can't assume because someone already talked to you, they're going to stay loyal to you because somebody's trying to call them every single day, take your lunch. So it just keeps me going when it comes to, the fitness and the professional side.
It's a dog eat dog.
It's a dog. Especially in business. It is what it is. And it's crazy because I feel like in business that taught me that because I'm a naturally like a nice person, like soft-spoken person. And
I know where this is going.
Real estate taught me that I had to really learn to put my foot down. I'm still very kind to everybody, but
absolutely.
I remember it was like older agents trying to bully me. And I remember the first time I was proud of myself. Like I actually like I had to nah, like this ain't that. Yeah. And standing my ground actually helped me get the deal. And that agent we always joke about it now when we talk. He said, I was testing you. You know what I mean? So, different things will shape you. You know what I mean? I never thought I would be a salesperson or in this type of field and sometimes having to get into uncomfortable conversations, but they forced me to grow.
Absolutely.
And even when I got to deliver bad news to a client, sometimes it just,
and that's the call but that's the call that you'll have to make. Yes. That's the responsibility that you're taking on. That's the type of ownership that you're willing to honestly just elude because you want to be in that position. Yeah. Earlier you mentioned, everybody has a guy. You're that guy. Yep. And that's just some of the things that come with it. Yeah. And it's not all fun and games. Yeah. There's calls that you're going to have to make. Yep. There's calls that, me personally, I know that I've received, and it's just not the best call, especially when it comes to these cars and what can happen. But I really think it's great how you're taking everything with confrontation and with intent, and which is why, that's how.
It's a part of the process. It's like
why you're selling the way you are, like.
Yeah, and it comes with it too. And sometimes you have those overwhelming days where it's like, this is too much. Like, but I had to sit back and just like, how are you going to complain about something you asked for? You asked to be in this position. You asked God, I don't know what people's religion are, but you asked God to fill your plate. So you're going to complain when it's full? Nah, it's time to eat.
It's time to go,
It's time to eat. It's time. So, yeah, man, you can talk all day, but it's definitely beautiful. It's the process in itself and just seeing how.
It's beautiful in hindsight because when you're in the moment, when you're in the moment, man, listen,
like people. And you sometimes you're in that moment where you're in that dark tunnel, you don't know where the light is. When we finally get to the end, you just look back like, dang, I had to go through that tunnel.
And I think it's important to know that each time it occurs, I felt like the tunnel got shorter and shorter. The first challenge or whatever it is where you feel like I'm really getting tested, you always make it through it. And even when you make it through it, you look back and you're like, okay, well, I did that. Yeah. And even on the worst case scenario, it's never usually that bad.
Once you had that tough conversation.
So then you tell yourself on the next time where something happens bad, you're like, why am I even tripping? Because I got through the last issue. And then that's kind of what builds your comfort and your experience and kind of just over time, like everything just gets better with time. I swear it does.
Experience is the best teacher. And you said that we have our talks. I think we were talking, you were telling me about a crazy experience you had and I was doing the same thing. And you said, and it sticks with me all the time when I go through those moments. You were just like, certain stuff that bothered me in year one, it just don't bother you anymore. And that's so true. Like I remember a deal falling through in the beginning of my career crushed me. I couldn't sleep.
I remember you called me on that one.
Yeah.
I remember about that.
Like clients like threatening to sue you and stuff like that. But now it's at the point where I remember a client threatening to sue me. Like it's very rare, but it was like maybe last year. And I just looked at this like, okay. I went through my proper precautions, like covered myself. Like I didn't do anything wrong here. It's nothing to stress about. And I had deals fall through all the time that are out of my control. And in the beginning, it used to stress me out. But now I'm just like, hey, let's find them a next home.
When it's out of your control, it's out of your control.
Out of your control.
It's out of your control. And I think the car rentals taught me that more than anything, because the moment that a renter gets the vehicle and they get the keys, I'm hands off. I can only do so much. The best I can do is try to vet the type of renter that they are and try to prevent some knucklehead from going out and doing something dangerous, because they're dangerous vehicles. Once it's out of your control, you kind of just have to not worry about it. It's by choice, but you can't necessarily worry about it. Because if you're going to worry about something before it happens, and I always say it, worrying about something before it happens is essentially putting a down payment on stress.
Yeah.
So you just have to take a step back, allow things to take their course. And from there, that's when you can know, okay, well, maybe I'll have to address this at a later time, or even half the time now. You don't have to address it at all.
Address it at all. Yeah. Man, just have faith and belief in what you're doing, because faith and worry they can't coexist. You know what I mean? Trust your expertise. If you're in a certain profession, you know, it works out the way it's going to work out the way it's supposed to anyway. So always got to keep pushing, but
always
we're going to transition into our rapid fire round, right? So, all right.
So what do you got?
Well, we talk about cars, right? So you talked about Audis. What's your dream car? If you could add anything to Stealth Auto Rentals, what would be the dream car to add?
Dream car?
Or your what's your personal dream car? You might not want to rent that to everybody.
No, I think I would say I'm a car guy, but I never really had a passion, but I've lost my interest towards these vehicles, because now, like, all the emotional attachment I used to have towards vehicles is completely gone from these renters. You want to make things look nice, but they're going to bang them up. They're going to total them. So I don't necessarily have dream vehicles as much as I used to.
Okay.
But I would love to have a fleet of Suburbans at each location. I feel like once you see a fleet of Suburbans available at the Stealth Auto Rentals different locations, you'll know Stealth Auto Rentals is doing all right.
Doing their thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that. All right. Well, you already answered this one. I had it written down. Morning run or late night work session.
Oh, it has to be in the morning. It has to be in the morning. Periodically, you can get a workout in the evening, and I feel like it's okay, but I just don't want to create the habit of relying that I'm going to have enough energy after the day.
The day's unpredictable.
Man, by 1 o'clock, I'm toast. By 1 o'clock, I'm toast, because you're getting up at, I don't know what time you get up early. You're earlier than me.
4:50.
You're
when
4:50?
I wake up. I don't get to the gym that early though. Like, cause I do my morning routine at home. Like, I've been reading, so I do my morning devotional in the morning. So I get up at 4:50 to do that, read, do my mobility, and then I head to the gym. So trying to get to the gym no later than 6.
You up, bro. I didn't know you were getting up at 4:50. I knew you was up, but yeah, I mean, I feel good if I'm hitting like a 5:45. But my point being though is, it's just prioritizing your health first.
Yeah,
I think it's important.
For me, that winning that morning sets me up to win the day.
Yeah,
because the evening, like, there's been times where I missed it by accident, you know, or just you know, I didn't win that morning, and trying to get in the evening, I was just like, oh my god. But it motivated me, like, I gotta get up in the morning, because like with real estate, I'm getting called. I was getting calls right before. I'm probably getting calls right now. You know what I mean? And you know, after the podcast, I'm still gonna have to go do some work. But it is what it is, man. But what's your favorite post-run meal?
My favorite post-run meal? My girl's Italian, so I'm really into pasta and all types of, like, I mean, even on like a long run, man, I'll come back. It ain't healthy. It's not really supposed to be healthy. I'm trying to.
Wait, isn't pasta good for run? Like,
so it's the carbs.
Learn that part of running.
Right. It's the carbs basically to have the fuel, but she's always telling me you have to gain weight, this and that. So before you know it, the gnocchi turns into like Italian sausage, Parmesan, and then you're dousing it with the dressing, oil, and all that. So I'm usually like a gnocchi type post meal.
Okay.
I mean, as of lately, just to kind of add up the weight, but it's not really working.
Are you trying to gain weight, or are you trying to, like, what's the?
Just maintain. Just maintain. In the past, when I was increasing mileage per the week, I'll be honest, one of my biggest issues is that I don't eat correctly. not necessarily all terrible. It's not the best. I have a sweet tooth, but I just wasn't eating enough, man. And if you're out here trying to actually like, whether it's gain weight with muscle, like you have to, half of it's probably more than half of it's nutrition.
Like 75, 80%.
It really is. And they're not lying when they say that. And I think not eating enough in the past and then trying to go out here and do these type of workouts is what caused my overuse injuries.
Yeah.
But you just learn as an athlete or just someone trying to stay mindful of their fitness.
Back to what you said, time and experience.
Right.
With that.
Right. So just posting on and adding all those calories and the peanut butter and protein shakes and trying my best. But
yeah, I'm still learning. Like I feel like when it comes to strength training and just overall eating, I know what to do. But when it comes to running,
you've been an ox. You're even bigger now. You posted something the other day, and I was like, "Damn, shirt about to bust out the seam."
Yeah, bro. I don't know, man. I used to train for aesthetics, but now it's more so like I'm learning to try to train for performance and also fuel for performance as well. So like before I work out, I'm taking like the dextrin and things like that.
Oh, okay. So you're loading up on the electrolytes?
Electrolytes. Good. Because I cramp up a lot. So every marathon, as you know, I go through it. Like the last one, AC was terrible. And I was more prepared for, like, I feel like hydration wise this time than when we ran in 2022.
Okay.
And I don't know what it was, but I'm trying to learn that aspect of it because I've always been a salty sweater even when I played ball. Like I was getting IVs in college because I was catching full body cramps. It's like bad. So I don't know. And I drink a lot of water and stuff like that. So I'm learning.
Yeah. And I mean, you're to learn from experience, but also like, don't be hesitant to reach out to a medical professional. They'll tell you more about it than what, you know what I mean? We'll learn from just passing experience back and forth.
Yeah. Shane was telling me that he was like, I should do like a salt test or something. Because he was like, nobody out here has all that white stuff.
Right. But it's still like fitness means so much to you. It's probably something.
I definitely would. You know me. You can get real scientific with it once you lock in.
That's my point.
If you could run with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Dead or alive?
It's like that famous question, who would you have dinner with? But we're going to turn with, we're running. Like somebody that you feel like you would run, if you ran with them, it would mean a lot or give you a lot of value.
I actually saw the other day that I saw a line that Barack Obama is actually like a pretty adamant runner, but just hasn't done any marathons. You know how you look up like
doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. But I think, especially in the times right now and everything that we're going through, that's a different.
That'd be
a different show.
Yeah.
But my point being is, people like him, like their status just goes up, and the type of person and what they provided to the country as a whole. I feel like. And he's just laid back. Like he's just
he one of the homies for real.
That's my point. So someone like him, I'd be like, wow. So getting a couple miles in with Barack would be popping, or even Michelle at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like either or.
That would be dope. Hey, you might have just spoken into existence. You never know.
I mean, you're gonna have the fleet of Suburbans around you.
It's like you good. All right, last one. What's one song that gets you hyped? I know some people talk about not running with music, but something to get you going. If you weren't in the mood, what would you turn on?
It's funny that not running with music I thought was always insane until
you did it.
Until you do it, and it's actually
that mind and breath connection is different.
It's different, and it's funny because sometimes with the business and work itself, I can always tell when I'm kind of getting anxious because music is the first thing that goes. But back to your original question with the most hype song that,
or it could be an artist.
I don't know. I love Still Running with Derek Baby and Meek.
Yeah.
I love that because it's just like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's probably my favorite song that turned me up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I always start a race with that.
Yeah. For me, I just started like running without music recently. I'll do it every now and then, but like when I started doing that, it really, like just hearing my steps and learning my cadence when it came with my breath, like it definitely was a game changer.
Right.
And when I lift, it makes a big difference as well. Like breathing through reps. Like I remember.
Yeah, I just saw.
I posted about that.
I did. I saw that.
It makes a big difference. Like especially when doing compound heavy lifts. Like a lot of people strain like doing like a bench press or a squat. Like you hold your breath the whole time. But if you exhale through like for example, like you inhale, when you're doing a squat, and then you exhale on the way down or coming up. It just gives you more power because you're allowing your muscles to work and you're feeding them oxygen as well. So it's crazy.
There's a lot of details to it.
Yeah. So
there really is.
Yeah,
There's a lot of details to it.
yeah, it could get real scientific with it, but it's fun though. It's a journey, and I don't know, I'm enjoying it. But so next up, you said you got a couple races,
Okay.
and we running back marathon in Philly.
Yeah, it's always Philly.
always Philly.
I'm not necessarily going to be the
travel.
one to.
So even if you qualify for Boston, would you go? When you qualify for Boston?
It's terrible to say, but probably not. It's probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we live in the city, so I just like kind of just hop out the crib and then you're at the starting line.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe because it's an opportunity that you don't want to pass up on.
Time,
but something with running, and obviously I know a lot of people can attest to this, but it's never about the actual race itself. It never is. It's just more about being diligent, staying disciplined, how you want to carry yourself, and taking it from there. So
yeah, I think doing hard things is, like you said, it don't matter if you were running in Boston or Philly. For me, like I always know there's some type of wall I might face during that race.
Right.
Which is why you said you're doing a race for your birthday. I'm doing the High Rocks for my birthday.
Yeah, you getting busy.
And
I saw that.
Put myself through something. I don't know what challenge is going to be that day, but I know it's going to be something. And maybe I might shock myself and not have anything worse, but I don't know. It's just the unknown. It excites me because it's like, I know I'm going to grow by doing something hard, and doing hard things in general just makes you grow. And what better way to bring in 30 than, you know what I mean, doing something tough to prepare me for the next 30.
Bree, I mean, I always tell you this in person, and I wanted to make sure I said it again today, but I'm so proud of just the way that you carry yourself. I'm grateful that Austin introduced us, and I just have so much respect for the way that you are, the type of man that you are, because I think a lot of times where we're talking about, like, especially the community that you've built, the brand, fit and professional. When I was driving here this evening, I thought to myself, I'm saying, a lot of times people want to be, and I want to make sure I say this correctly, but they want to be athletes. They want to be like celebrities and influencers, when the type of person that they should be trying to be is someone like you. You're actually out here bettering so many people out these communities, and it's just trickling down into with the families themselves. It's the type of people that are going home as fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's so important that, I mean, I always want to give you your flowers, but I just want to make it like prominent and known that the type of impact that you're doing through this community, fit and professional, the way you're carrying yourself, listen, brother, like, you're doing it. Like, you got it going on. And I don't want to get overlooked. I want you to always give yourself grace. You really got me out my comfort zone to come here today and speak on a lot of different things, just reflecting as business owners. And I wouldn't have came here if it wasn't for anyone else.
Yeah.
But listen, man, I always just want to, especially because we live in crazy times, whenever I'm around people, I want to tell them how much I care about them, how much they mean to me as a person. And I'm just proud of you, brother. I really am. I know Austin's proud of you. We all just look up to you. I'm like, yo, this fool really got it going on. But
and just as much as you say that is vice versa. Like, you don't know how I talk about you all the time to everyone whenever it comes up or something like that, man. And like what you said is very important. Just giving people their flowers while you're here. So I really appreciate that. And I'm going to give them right back to you because iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? Me seeing you grind, even though you don't post a lot, when we talk, it charges me up. You know what I mean? And, you know, we're older, we don't talk every day. When we link up, it's always, you know what I mean? It's needed. So I appreciate our friendship and, you know, looking forward to, you know, continuing growing and witnessing all the great things that you're doing and will do. So, man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone to come here and share with the people, man. It's always a good conversation.
Appreciate it.
You know what I mean? So keep up the great work, bro. And yeah. The journey continues.
I know, man.
So, another episode of the Fit and Professional Podcast. Had an awesome guest here. Where can the people follow you? Like, if the people wanted to look into stealth further, how could they, you know, stay in contact with you or look into the business?
Honestly, stealthautorentals.com.
Straight like that.
Stealthautorentals.com. That's where you have the ability to book the rentals, see the type of available options. You can go to the different Google reviews and read about all these other different renters' past experiences. Fortunately for today, I'll be able to add this up to the Stealth Auto Rentals YouTube channel along with
there we go.
Professional.
Oh yeah, this will be on there for sure.
But for the marketing aspect itself, it's still building up and trying to create a credibility. And like I said today was nice just to get something a little different, kind of put a face in front of the business. I feel like sometimes you get so dialed into the technician work where, you know what I mean? You don't really necessarily take these type of opportunities, but it's all about the people that you're around. I appreciate Sabree. I appreciate Shane. Everybody getting crazy and doing their thing. And when you're surrounded by these type of people, providing this level of professionalism and what it is that they do, it makes it easy to come out and try to be yourself and kind of pay it forward. So again, I appreciate it, fellas. You really hooked it up.
I appreciate you, man. It's you said it multiple times, and I hope people take that away. Your trajectory, is definitely, a detriment on how far or how low you go. Just who you surround yourself with matters. You know what I mean? And surround yourself with people that are going to push you, and not, don't surround yourself with yes men or yes women for that matter, because who you surround yourself with is going to either make or break you. So pick your partnerships, pick your friendships, relationships, romantically, pick them wisely, because it ultimately, shape the trajectory of your life. So thanks again, brother. And until next time, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Appreciate it.